Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming to our Team 360 call. Today is March 28th, and I'm really excited to do this call tonight. I actually had planned something different for the call, but I was in the shower yesterday, where all good ideas happen, and was thinking about our team and really felt led to share my journey. I have been doing a ton of reflection over the past week and a half, and just kind of really thinking about how I got to where I am and how different my life is now, and how did that happen? Because it's very different, and there's a lot of changes that have been made, and some of you knew me prior to that, and so you've watched it. Some of you didn't know me and have met me along the way, but my life looked very, very different 4 years ago. Actually, looked very different just like 3 years ago. And so how do you go from being bankrupt, depressed, anxiety ridden, just like struggling, to having a thriving business, a positive community, and being able to have freedom to travel, freedom of finances, freedom to say, to tell my kids that they can do things, freedom to take a day off. I'm talking freedom. And it's not something that I ever thought that I could have. And so I just want to share my journey and my process, because I truly believe that this is an opportunity that any of you can have. Anybody, not just me, anyone can have this. But you have to decide if you want to take hold of that opportunity and live it out, because that's really what it came down to for me. And I'm going to share my story, and there's some things that I want to share with you that are not comfortable, but I'm going to do it anyways. But it started, I was back in, so anyway, let me back up to pre everything. Scott and I had a very successful business. We had a farmers insurance agency. I had actually, we were, working together. I had previously worked at Intel and didn't love that job. And so my husband had gone into the insurance industry and was building a business, and he invited me to come along with him. So I did. So I've owned a business before, but that business was very different than this one. I worked a ton of hours. And when I say a ton of hours, I mean a ton of hours. And we had a baby, and we had Skylar, and I worked until Skylar was almost 4. And I worked like 60 hours a week. We made good money, but the way that our world worked was we ran an office. As an insurance agent, you always had to be there, and you always had to be on. And in the first, part of your business, you have to be there. You have to be with the clients. We had staff, but really as the agent, you're the face. And we built our business, but our business owned us. We didn't truly own that business. We were owned by our business. And what we would do, the way that we lived our life, is we lived our life we would work really, really, really hard, and then we would take a vacation. And we would totally let loose on that vacation. We spent a lot of time going to Mexico, like for a week, come back, work really, really hard, and count down the days until that next vacation. And that was our experience with being an entrepreneur. Pretty fun, huh? Not really. And I had a lot of guilt, because here I had this son that I was dragging to meetings with me, that was in childcare. And it was not what I had imagined. I just had extreme mom guilt, because I wanted to be there for him. And I hated getting text messages about the fact that he was doing things, and I wasn't the one to be there to see them. And then I got pregnant with Allie. And I knew in my heart of hearts that there was no way that I could be a mom to 2 kids and continue to work my business the way that I was working it, because it just wasn't. It wasn't going to happen. But I had never seen myself as a stay-at-home mom. I had worked really hard in school. I had excelled at everything. I went to college almost on a full ride. And I, had done all these things. And then I was like, going to be at home. And there's nothing wrong with being at home. It just wasn't in my life plan. But I felt like that's what I needed to do. So I decided that we were going to sell the agency because Scott had also started a real estate company that was booming. And when I talk booming, it was booming. And obviously, you know what period of time I'm talking about. And so we owned a lot of rentals. We had flips. We had a lot of money invested in real estate. So we would be fine with his income. We would be going down to one income. And so I made arrangements to sell my agency. My last day of work was February 1st, 2008. And I gave birth on February 18th, 2008. Starting back in November of 2007, the market started going down, but we were okay because we had a lot of money in savings. But then it just got out of control. I gave birth to Allie, who, as many of you know, was very sick. We knew something was wrong. I knew right away, but it wasn't confirmed for a couple of weeks due to testing. And then, honestly, the first 4 years of her life are a pretty big blur because of all the things that we went through. And so I had Allie. The real estate market completely tanked. I had already sold our agency, so we could live off of some of that money, but that wasn't what we had planned to do. And that money didn't go very far, especially when you considered that a lot of medical expenses of Allie's were not covered by insurance. And I know a lot of people, talk about, oh, well, you got to have good insurance. Well, we had decent insurance, but when we needed it, it did not pay for what we needed. And there were a lot of expenses that came about that she needed and we needed to pay for. After insurance, her medical, just her prescriptions were between $500 and $700 a month. And it wasn't an option not to get those prescriptions. It was something that we had to make happen because that was her life. And that didn't include the treatments that she needed that, even when insurance did pay, it was ridiculous. She had surgeries, testing. And if you've ever had like MRIs, she had several of those. She had to be put out for them because she was little. She had ultrasounds, you name it. We did testing. We did testing in California. We did testing in Oregon. It was a nightmare, but that was expensive. And then, but I didn't care. I would do whatever it took for that little girl. And so here I was home with my son, who's 4, and then my sick daughter. And then my husband, we lost his, that real estate thing went down, and we were hanging on by a thread. So long story short, it's what we refer to as the wilderness period, the pit. And it went on for a few years. And we ended up, Scott had to do some door-to-door sales to make ends meet. We had to do some other things, but it wasn't an option for me to work outside the home because Allie needed me, and she actually wouldn't have made it through. She wouldn't be eligible for childcare because her immune system was so low that it was too dangerous for her to even go into a childcare. So we were pretty much confined to the home and couldn't really go places. And it was a very lonely time. And that's when my anxiety hit an all-time high. I struggled with depression. I struggled a lot with just trying to figure out why this happened to my baby girl. Why were we losing everything? It was just a really, really hard time. I had a lot of guilt. But to be honest, it just, it was like I was a walking zombie. I was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night. Allie couldn't sleep for more than like an hour and a half if she did sleep that, because we had to check breathing, and she was just very, I was constantly worried that she was going to stop breathing. and because she had such bad respiratory problems, and she was in pain, so she was crying all the time. So we, I just was a zombie, and just kind of was, doing what the next step was that she needed. And then we ended up, deciding to move back to Oregon. So we came back to Oregon. We had lived in California for a little while. We came back to Oregon, and Scott got a different job because he was working like 70 hours a week, trying to help our family out. And we still weren't able to cover the bills and the expenses. We had a lot of debt from what had happened with the real estate market. And so we had a lot of creditors calling us. We had people, like I had mortgage companies threatening me. I had to change my phone number. It was a very, very hard time. I had a mortgage company tell me that they were going to come hunt me and my kids down and hit us with bats until we paid them what we owed. And it just, you guys, it was so bad. Like it couldn't have gotten, it just seemed like it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And we just kept diving more and more into this pit, and there was no way out. I just felt like we were drowning, and there was no way for us to possibly climb out of this mountain of debt. We had done Dave Ramsey, and if you guys have done Dave Ramsey, you know that he's anti-bankruptcy. Well, 3 of his reps actually told us to file bankruptcy. They said, Dave would tell you to file bankruptcy. Like, you need to file bankruptcy. And so we finally did, to help, but that didn't take care of all the medical needs, and we had incurred tax debt too. So those things you can't go, they don't go away. So we had, because Allie had ongoing medical expenses, and then with the taxes. So we still had that, but at least the some of the other stuff was manageable. And then we decided that Scott would take a job where he would only work like 50 hours instead of, the amount that he was working, because it was just really hard. And he had been traveling a lot, and that was really hard on our family. So he was working 50 hours a week and commuting 45 minutes to an hour or more a day each way to, we live in Oregon City, and he was going out to Hillsborough. So if you're familiar with that drive, it's pure hell. And he started at 8 o'clock. So it was horrible. Some nights it would take him 2 hours to get home. So it was basically me. And so what do you do, when everything's not going very well? Well, you have another baby. That's what you do. So I found out I was pregnant for the 3rd time. And that was a completely unplanned pregnancy, but she turned out to be the biggest blessing ever and a total gift from God. Like, she really brought a lot of peace into our family. But I had this 3rd baby, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with 3 kids? I can't afford the kids that I have, and how is this going to impact Allie's treatments? Because I already was, like swamped with what she needed and dragging Skylar along. So now I was going to have to do that with 2 other, with 2 kids, dragging them to Allie's appointments. In fact, when I was 8 months pregnant, Allie was having surgery in Emmanuel Hospital, and she had a reaction to the anesthesia, and they called me into the care room because she was reacting, and they're like, you're so pregnant, you can't be here. You need to go home. And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to see you take me out of this hospital, because there's no way I'm leaving this hospital. And so, I was staying in the hospital with her, sleeping in a chair, holding her, 8 months pregnant. Well, she was sick. And, and that was really it's just a tough time. But I learned a lot about myself in that process. And I learned that, I was stronger than I ever thought, and that I was determined, and I was determined to get her better. And she is better, as many of you know, but I just kind of want to tell you what state of life I was in when I decided to take on coaching. So a year later, still dealing with medical treatments, going a little bit better. I had Brenna was 1, and I had Skylar who was 7, and Allie was 3. I was at a dance class, and it was just a random dance class. My grandmother paid for my daughter Allie to take a little dance class, to kind of let her. She wanted to take ballet, so she got to go to this. And I was sitting in the corner, and I was just depressed. I was eating Cheez-Its, drinking diet soda. Diet Dr. Pepper was my thing. I fueled my body on Diet Dr. Pepper and coffee. We have an espresso machine, and I would literally just pull shots all day from it to keep myself going because I wasn't sleeping. And it wasn't that I didn't want to sleep. I couldn't sleep because I needed to be available to take care of Allie. So I couldn't sleep more than, a little bit at a time, like I had said before. She wasn't actually sleeping very much until probably 5 years old. So it's really only been the last 3 years. And I was getting up more with her than I was with a newborn. And I was getting up with the newborn pretty regularly too. So it was kind of like I said, when I was a zombie, I was a zombie. So here I was, zombie mom, sitting in a corner, eating Cheez-Its, and just like depressed, in my old yoga pants. And just, I don't even know if I had taken a shower. I mean, I was just toasted all the time. And I would go to this dance class and nobody would really talk to me. I didn't have any social connection at the time. And I just really thought like, okay, what, I'll just hang out here in the corner because I don't know anybody. And that's when Jessie started talking to me. And if you don't know Jessie, Jessica Vandenberg, she's my sponsor. And she came over and she just started talking to me. And she's like, oh, how are you? And I'm like, what? She like, you just asked me how I was? And she's like, yeah, how are you? I'm like, I'm doing yeah, good. And then she's like, so, she just started forming me, you guys, like just talking to me. And I call it forming, but the thing is she authentically wanted to know about me. She wasn't faking it. She wanted to know about me. She wanted to know who I was, what my story was, why I was there, about my kids, about my family. And I just was like, hadn't really had someone talk to me like that in a really long time. And I just spilled my guts to her and was talking to her and was like, yeah, I really, she was wearing workout clothes. She was doing her wear and share. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of Beachbody. I've actually done some of their programs. I'm trying to do done Insanity, lost baby weight with Insanity. Cause here's the deal, guys. I had lost some weight from my baby, but I was still struggling with my nutrition. I had a workout program, but the nutrition was not on par. It was pretty sad. And because I was pulling shots from a coffee machine and I was doing soda and candy and Cheez-Its. And then I would eat, we would eat good sometimes, but I would, I had such a strong sugar addiction and carb addiction that I would screw it all up. I don't know if any of you can resonate with that, but I would do really good really good with my eating. And then I would just fall off the wagon and just completely say to hell with it and go full into binge eating on crap. And then I would say, I'll start again on Monday with that nutrition. So anyway, she started talking to me about the coaching, and I had tried to coach through Beachbody ironically before, but I never posted in the group. I didn't listen to what my coach said. And, but she put me in this group and, but there wasn't really any follow-up with me. And I just was kind of like a fly on the wall and thought to myself, well, that's great for them, but that's not going to work for me. But something about Jessie was different. She said, we do coaching. I will help you. So anyway, I had, been thinking, I'd been trying to get in shape, and I had done a pretty good amount of work on my own, but I knew to get to that next level, I needed help. I needed accountability, and I felt like she was the right person. And she talked to me in October. I did not purchase from her until December because I didn't have the money, and I used our Christmas money to purchase my challenge pack. And when I decided to sign up, I did sign up as a coach because I knew that if I was accountable to helping other people, that I would stick to it. I would be quick to let myself down, but I wouldn't let other people down. And so I knew if I signed up and I could just help, one person, it would be worth it. But at the time, I was like, who's going to want to be helped by me? I don't really have anything to offer because I didn't like working out. I was still drinking pop. And as many of you know, I drank pop my whole first year of coaching. I did. And I had that sugar addiction, pretty bad sugar addiction. So I decided, but I was like, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to do it. And I knew Jessie believed in me. She believed that I could. And she's like, I'll help you. But when I signed up, it was just purely not to make money. It was just to get my, get myself to stay accountable and not give up on, because I knew I wouldn't give up on other people. So I signed up. I made all my challenge pack money back in 2 weeks. Within a month, I had made, I think it was like $600. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is incredible. And all I did were the vital behaviors. And all I did was just share with people. And, on that, I made mistakes, like on that Facebook memory thing that comes up and it shares like your old posts. There are some that make me cringe because I can't even believe what I posted. And some of the invitations I see that I sent when I was first a coach, but that's what it's about. You're not perfect. And I think, I made mistakes, but I also had successes because I was consistent. But what happened was I was super consistent. I went to Diamond in 45 days and I was rocking. But then I stopped doing PD and I let fear take over. And that's when I started seeing my progress slide. So here I had made all this money back. I was paying our groceries. I had started paying our mortgage. And then I freaked out and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not good enough to be doing this. Like what is going on? Like I'm fake. Like how did I get here? But I wasn't. And that's really what I want to talk to you guys about tonight was I had to overcome my biggest obstacle, and my biggest obstacle was myself. It wasn't anybody. It wasn't it wasn't people saying no. It wasn't time. It was me. I was my biggest obstacle. And I almost threw it all away. I almost quit. And I sit here and I can't even believe that. I got to this point and I had gotten to that point and I was just going to give up because I started thinking I just started overthinking things. I started, didn't do my personal development. And of course, then what happens when you don't do your personal development? You start doubting yourself. You start doubting your capabilities. So what changed? I'm going to talk about 5 things tonight. And the first one is I got over my biggest obstacle, as I said, was me. And I had actually not only a fear of failure, but a fear of success. Because we had been successful in business before, but we lost it all. And that was really painful. And I just figured, well, I don't want to go through that again. So I guess I'll just stay down here so that I don't have to lose it again and, go through it all. Well, that's just wrong thinking. So I had this fear of success and a fear of failure. I was struggling severely with, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, feeling like a fraud. Even though I wasn't a fraud, I look back on that now, but just feeling like that, like feeling like an imposter, like not worthy of success. Like, who am I to have success? And I had excuses. I was a victim of my circumstances. I used I was like, well, I have kids, I have a husband, I don't have time, we don't have any money. Just the list went on. But here's the deal. You can be a victim or a victor. And I decided to be a victor. I decided, you know what? I need to get over this. I need to work through this because no matter what I do in life, I will not see a change in anything until I get over this obstacle, which is me. And so I just took that belief that I had, which was a little bit of belief in myself, just a little. And then I looked at the belief I had in the business, which I saw all these other people being successful. So, and they all said the same thing, why not me? So I started saying, why not me? And I dove in headfirst to personal development. And I tell you guys all the time about personal development, but I am not kidding. You will get nowhere in anything if you're not working on your personal development. And I can't tell you exactly what you need to be working on unless I know what you're struggling with. But if you're struggling with your belief, if you're struggling with your mindset, then get some personal development and you make yourself do it every day. You need to be a student and you need to do it. And that is what's going to get you out of that funk. I always hear people, well, I'm in a funk. Well, get out of the funk. I got out of my funk. You can get out of yours. My depression got so bad that I was literally in my bed for over a week. And my husband had to come in and pull me out. And he said, you know what, Tawnya, you need to look at your family and you need to decide. It's your choice. He said, nobody else can pull you out of this bed. You need to pull yourself out. He's like, I will help you, but you have to decide. And he was right. And I had to pull myself out of that bed and dig into personal development. And yes, that did happen while I was a coach. That happened in 2012. In October. I could not get out of my bed. I literally could not get out of my bed. I was struggling that bad. And then I just was like, I got to change something. I got to do this for my kids. And got out and just said, I'm going to do this. And I started turning around the things that I was telling myself in my head, which was that I wasn't worthy. I started turning those lies, because they were lies, around into truth and saying, you know what, I am worthy of success. I am worthy to do this. I can do this. I am going to do this. I am not going to be a victim anymore. I'm going to stand victorious and do this. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm going to do it. And that's what I did. So for me, getting over my biggest obstacle, me. Whether that's if you have fear of success, fear of failure, if you're struggling with anxiety, depression, if you're struggling with excuses, not feeling good enough, turn it around. I know it's hard. I do. I could sit here and tell you I went through it. A lot of you have, and a lot of coaches have, but really work on what you need to do to help you get out of that. Is it therapy? Is it personal development? Is it a combination? Is it, or you need to talk to someone? Do you need, whatever you need to do? I walk around there, with my phone playing podcasts in my ear for a reason, you guys, because if I don't continually work on it, that depression comes back and it rears its ugly head. It is something that I constantly have to work on. And so I have a plan and I follow it, just like my workouts. I listen to my personal development all the time. I do hours of it. And I'm busy. I'm not just sitting on my butt at home reading books. I'm out and about. I have 3 kids. I do, I do full-time ministry. My husband has a business as well as my business. And so, but I still make it happen. It's a priority for me. I start my day with setting my intentions for the day. What am I intending to do for the day? And I have a personal development plan, just like my workout plan and just like my meal plan. And it is probably the most vital plan that I have. The second thing that I did is I got serious. I stopped messing around and treating it like a hobby business. And I treated it like a real business. It blows my mind how we get into this business and we're like, I want to work this business. I want to work this business. And then it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to fit it in. That's not how you work a business. That's not what an entrepreneur does. An entrepreneur sets business hours, has a plan, and sticks to it. So I got serious. I did a plan for my business. I did my vital behaviors. I scheduled out my power hours. I planned out what I was going to do. I took action. I didn't just, I got serious. I treat it like a business. I don't understand how people show up for meetings that they're their job tells them to go to, but they don't go to the Super Saturday or they don't listen to team calls. I don't understand, because that is not how you work a business. If you are serious about this business, you need to go to the events. The events are where the magic happens. Anybody that's been to an event will tell you that. If you go with your ears wide open, it is amazing. And I have gotten so much nuggets from events, but that's where the success happens. You need to be around those people, hear from those trainings. I started, and let me tell you, the Super Saturdays that we host in Portland now are a lot different than the ones we started with, but they were still good and they still made a difference. So make sure, side note, if you're not registered to go to Super Saturday, get to one. I don't care what it takes, you've got to get there. If you're serious about this business and you want life change, do what it takes. I did, and I've never missed one. And I've had lots of excuses to miss them. I have lots of things happen. This Saturday, I'm going to be there the whole time. We have a soccer game. We have 2 birthday parties and another event. But this is our business. It's only once a quarter. So I make it happen. I've taken my kids to the meetings. As some of you know, I've had to take babies to them. My kids have grown up around them, so they're pretty good now. But before I could afford childcare, I had to take them, and I would just do it. And not ideal, but I don't care. It worked. We still went. And at least if you're in Portland, we're kid friendly, as long as you don't have them running around, but we're definitely kid friendly. So make it happen. That's what I did. I got serious. I made a business plan and I did it. And I did my vitals, my vital behaviors. The third thing I did is I shared authentically with others and with purpose and intention. So I would, I am an open book as far as like sharing my journey and like, what I do in my business. And I would go out and I would share how Shakeology changed my life. I would share how the workouts changed my life. I've lost an insane amount of weight in the best shape I've ever been in. It's unbelievable to me. I've been skinny. So I've gotten skinny before, but it looked very different than what it looks like now. I've been skinny fat. I've been fat. I gained 55 with my first pregnancy, 50 with my second, and 60, maybe more, because I wouldn't look at the scale on that third baby. And it didn't fall off like they said it would with nursing. It stayed on. I had, I had to work to get that weight off, especially with that third kid. And I lost it all and then some. And I've got, I've toned, I can do push-ups, I can do pull-ups, and I'm almost 38 years old. That's pretty incredible to me. And so I share that. But when I started this, that was not my reality. That's just been my reality for the last year and a half. My reality when I started, I still had about 30 pounds to go, 30 or 40. And I, again, was not on point with my nutrition, still struggling. But I shared that and I was still successful. I was open about it. I didn't hide it. I shared with people. And if you were my, coach back then or my challenger, that I did. I talked about how, I struggle with sugar. But people still want to be coached by you because they resonate with you. So make sure that you're sharing your story authentically with others and that you're, you share with purpose. Don't just like go out and share something just to get it out there. Share with, what's your intent of that? How is this going to help somebody? Who are you speaking to? Whenever I post something, I am posting to a particular person and it's my target market. I'm extremely strategic in what I post, and it's all based on who is my market at that time. And my market has kind of changed over the years. When I first started, it was stay-at-home moms. Now it's, it's a lot different. I still work with stay-at-home moms, but I was really sharing to that stay-at-home mom that wanted to get in shape after baby. And so I would speak to her whenever I would post something, and it wouldn't get 100 likes or even 10 likes. Sometimes it would only get 5, but it was all about finding those people. So make sure that when you're sharing, you're doing it honestly and with purpose and intention. And it's not all about you. It's about how you can help other people. So make sure you're also putting that out there. I stopped at that time also with, I'm going to say one more thing about sharing is I don't care what other people think about me. I used to care, and that got me a lot of anxiety and contributed greatly to my depression. And I've had people say things. My own family did not agree with my business. I had a pastor at the church I was attending make a very interesting comment about what I was doing. And I just, and it would hurt, it would sting. My family and my parents found out that I made 5-star elite from a post that Jessica did on my Facebook wall. It wasn't because we didn't talk about it, because they weren't supportive of it. They're supportive now, but they didn't understand. And it wasn't that they were trying not to support me. It was that they didn't understand it. They just didn't understand what I was doing. I see that now, but at the time it was really painful. But I just don't care what other people think. I stopped caring because it got me nowhere good. All it did was it held me back, and it made me negative, and misery loves company. And I feel like anybody that judges doesn't have a right to be honest. So I don't listen to what other people say, unless of course they're authority or I'm asking for their advice. But I've whenever somebody posts something rude about Shakeology or Beachbody, I kind of look at that and I'm like, is this someone I really would want to work with? And if the answer is no, I go defriend them. I don't care. I have enough friends. I've got, and I don't have a lot of time. So I have to be very particular about who I'm hanging out with. And I've had things said to me. I've had people say rude things to me. But you know what else? I've also had really great things said to me. I've had people message me and say, you would not believe, how great it felt to be able to put on, jeans that were a size smaller. You would not believe how amazing I feel. You would not believe how amazing my marriage is because I'm in a positive headspace. You would not believe, I can't tell you how many of those messages I've gotten. So those trump any of the other, people that say things. So don't listen to those people. I heard a quote a long time ago about you can't pay, you can't pay your bills with what other people say or something like that. And I always think about that. And I also preach that to my kids. I talk to my kids about, not worrying about what other people say. And I'm an example for them. And so I live that. And I've shared before that my son has dealt with some bullying. And he handled that because he said, Mom, I've watched how you've handled yourself. So if you have kids, be an example, or other people. Don't worry about what other people say. I recently had a girl who came to me and who needed help. And she wanted help with her weight, and she was struggling. She was struggling really bad. And she's like, well, I came to you because I knew that you wouldn't judge me. And that to me breaks my heart. So here she is struggling as a mom with her journey, with how she's feeling about herself. And her friends are putting her down. And and she doesn't feel like she can talk to anybody. And that's sad. And I want to be that safe place for people to come to get help, because that's what my coach provided for me. So other people's opinions, you have to evaluate that for yourself. But I don't listen to it. I can't. I did. And that's something I had to change. And I had to rewire my brain to say they've got something in their heart that's not working for them. And that's their issue. It's not my issue. The fourth thing that I do is I constantly evaluate my why. What's my why? Why am I here? Why am I doing this business? And what am I doing it for? And that has changed and evolved over the years. Like I said, when I first started, it was all about helping myself, like getting, holding myself accountable on my weight loss journey. And being an example for my kids. And now it's so much bigger. My goal is to help other people like all of you find freedom in your life, find financial freedom, find freedom of time, achieve that. I want to create other 6-figure earners on this page. I want you guys joining, the Millionaires Club. It's possible. And I want that for other people. And that's my mission now. And still to help people live their healthiest lives financially, physically, and within their relationships. There's so much negativity out there, and I want to be a place for positivity. I want to be a place that people can come and thrive. We have an amazing team culture, and that was intentional. That was strategic, because there's so many people out there that are negative, and I just don't want any part of it. I don't want to be around that. And I think that helping other people see that there's a different way to live is amazing. I think in America, we've been so quick to put other people down, and everything's about, negative things. I mean, if you watch the news, it can take you from here to here by watching the news, which is why I don't watch anymore. And in Europe, it's very different, because, we spent time there last year. So, but I like the culture that we have. And my goal is to bring more people into the culture and show them that, you know what, you don't have to be put down by your friends and your family. You can actually be encouraged and lifted up by other people. So I constantly do evaluate my why, because it changes. And I also need to revisit it. I need to make sure that it's fresh in my head, and that I know what I'm working for, because it's not easy. It gets hard, and I constantly have to remind myself. And so I keep it in my phone, in my notes section, and I look at it at least once a week. Usually when I'm planning, I look at my why. And then the fifth thing that I do is I show up every day, and I'm consistent. So that's not always easy. I worked my tail off to build this business, and it was hard work for the first few years. And I showed up every day and, was super consistent with what I was doing. If something wasn't working, I would evaluate it, see, okay, what's not working with this? What am I doing? I know this business works because it's worked for a ton of other people. So it's something I'm doing. What am I doing? And I would look at that, and I would tweak it, and then I would go on. And that's what I still do that. I show up every day, and I'm consistent, but I do have freedom now. I do have freedom because I have built a certain, to a certain level. But in the beginning, I would show up, and I had to make sacrifices that weren't easy. I had to talk to my family, and that was a hard decision, because I did have to miss out on some stuff. But what we've gained from that is amazing. I was able to bring my husband home. I was able to give us financial freedom. We were able to travel. Last year, we spent 3 months on the road. We did 2 months in Europe. We didn't have a plan. We just bought one-way tickets to London, knew we were going to go to Paris, and then we said we just figured it out from there. So the 5 of us hopped on a plane and went to Europe, and we didn't know when we were coming back. And that's true freedom. That is true freedom. And then this, I just got back. I've been traveling all of March, and I got one of my highest paychecks while I was gone. And that's because I built my business strategically. I built it, on a solid foundation, and I've been consistent. It gives you freedom. And I was able to, this last couple weeks, go on a trip, go on the cruise with Beachbody, which was amazing. And our cruise was fully covered by Beachbody. And then I got to, we got to go to Disney World. And let me tell you, Disney World is not cheap. I could not believe how much the tickets were. But it was fine. I don't know if you've taken 5 people to Disney World, but I'm just telling you, I did not realize how much it cost until I got there. Probably should have planned that one, but it was okay. It was okay to be able to do that because we have that freedom. And I don't know what else we're going to do this year as far as our travel goes, or if we're going to travel, or if we're, going to, what we're going to do, but we have options. I was able to buy my husband a car. He had been driving around this Chrysler Concorde that was falling apart, and Kirsten can attest to this because she's ridden in it. And it was horrible. And it wasn't that it looked bad. It just was horrible. The car smelled. The window didn't roll down. The heat went out for a while in the dead of winter. It was just awful. And he had, 2 years or 3 years prior sent me a text message of this Dodge Challenger that he had seen on the freeway. And he's like, oh, this is my dream car. Maybe one day when I retire. And he'd sent me to this, and he had never done anything like that before and sent me anything like that, but he had texted it to me. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to be able to buy him that car someday? And so for his birthday, I bought it. He didn't know. And I bought it. And you want to know what? It was fine. That was amazing. It was an amazing gift to give him. And it was an amazing thing to be able to do. But again, it's, not all about I'm not bragging or talking about, all these, I'm telling you about these things because I want that for you too. I want all of you to experience freedom, whatever that looks like, whatever your goals are, whatever's on your whiteboard, whatever's on your dream board. I want you to be able to achieve that and have that. Because I work with passion and purpose. I honestly am not motivated by money, but money does give you options. It really does. And that's what it's given our family is options and freedom when we were living so strapped. And remember, I talked about how we were in a hole. We were in a hole so deep, and my ladder was Beachbody. It truly, truly was. My ladder was Beachbody. What pulled us out of that hole was Beachbody. And I would have never, if you told me that that's what would have happened, 4 years ago or even 3 years ago, I told you you're crazy. Because I never would have thought that. I would never have thought that this company and, a network marketing company that sells shakes and workout programs and would be able to do this and provide that kind of this kind of lifestyle for my family. But you know what? It did. It afforded us an amazing lifestyle. And like I, told you before, I've worked corporate and I've worked my own business, and it looked very different. When I worked my insurance agency, we didn't have freedom. I didn't have freedom to, just go volunteer in my kids' class. Like I just got a note today from Allie's teacher saying that they need some help later this week in class. Well, guess what? I can shift my week around. I can do that. And I don't have to ask somebody for a day off. I don't have to go, cancel appointments or have, I can just do it. When there's, I got notified today as well that my daughter Brenna is starting soccer, and it starts Wednesday, but they just finally scheduled the practice. And that's fine. It's totally fine. Because Scott and I both have that freedom. We have the freedom of time. And really, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted for our family, was that freedom. And that's what we have. And so I just kind of wanted to share my journey to kind of, and I didn't tell you all the, the bad stuff to be depressing. It's just that I want to tell you the flipping pit that I came out of. Like it was a pit and it was horrible. The wilderness period sucked. And it lasted several years. It lasted, a long freaking time. But I got out of it. And like I said, my life is very different now. We have the freedom of finances and freedom of time, but I also have a completely different mindset. I wake up excited. I want to do my business. I don't live and breathe Beachbody all day either. I do my workout in the morning. I drink my Shakeology. I eat well because I want to. And I feel good. And I love talking to inspiring people, which is you guys. Rosanna stopped by yesterday it was Saturday to pick something up. And it was just awesome to see her. I love seeing the people like you, all of you that, are coaches and are like-minded. I love that community. I love what it has brought to my life and enriched my life, because truly it doesn't feel like working. It's amazing. And that's really a gift. And to be able to help other people achieve that I can't think of a better opportunity. And you can, helping other people while helping yourself and your family. So whatever your goals are, whatever, don't ever throw them aside. Don't ever throw your dreams aside. I've been accused of being a dreamer, but a dreamer got me to where I am. I'm a dreamer with a strategic plan, I'll tell you that. Because it is what has propelled me in this business, is having that belief and that dream, and then following through and showing up and being consistent, and you all can have that. So I know that was kind of a lot of information, and let me just recap really quick my 5 points. So get over your biggest obstacle, which is yourself. I'll tell you right now, it's yourself. Because the business works, it's something you're doing if it's not working. And I'm sorry if that sounds rude, but it's true. And because it was true for me, and I know it's true for it's usually what's the problem. Get serious about your business. Treat it like a business, not like a hobby. If you want it to be a business, treat it like a business. Treat it like you have to show up, like you have to be there, because you know what? You're showing up for yourself and you're showing up for your family, and you're worth that. So do it. Third is share authentically and with purpose and intention. Make sure, you're speaking to your target market, and that you're not just posting up crap, but you're actually posting intentionally. Fourth is constantly evaluating your why. What's your why? Why are you here? Why are you working this business? What are you doing with it? And it could be as simple as you just want to be on your own journey. I totally get that. That's where I was. That's what I started with. But it'll evolve over time. So I would encourage you to reevaluate it and look at it at least once a week. Put it in your phone. Keep it in your note section. And number 5, show up every day and be consistent. And that's what will help you achieve success. Let me see here. What's your why that makes you cry? Okay. Well, I'll read you my most current why, Amanda. 1 second. And then I will open it up for more questions. So, hold on. I have all of my whys in my phone, it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool to look over them and see. So don't ever delete them, please, because I think that it's important to go back and see how far you've come. So my why right now, and I'll be on it, this is what it is. And this is what my why has been since September 28th of 2015. This is when I did a reevaluation, and still my why. Inspire and motivate others to become who they were designed to become. Help them to succeed at fulfilling their dreams and aspirations. To break free of the mundane and stand out as followers of God. To be a source of joy and display gratefulness. To never take life for granted, but accept it as the gift it is. Live out God's designed purpose for my life, to exude passion and zest for Him, to love others and not envy or judge, and be patient and kind. So it's really a life why that involve, and Beachbody is an avenue that fits into that. But that's my why right now, and has been since September. So are there any other questions? You can unmute yourself, or you feel free to use the chat, or if you raise your hand, I'll unmute you. Anybody got their hands up? Nobody has any questions. Does anybody have anything they want to say? Nothing. All right, you guys.
Hey, Tawnya.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I would, I think that for me personally, and this has always been a struggle, I have a really hard time being consistent. Like, life ends up taking over, and I guess because I don't feel like that desperation because I have a fairly good job, it's, I guess, hard for me to prioritize that. Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah. What do you, so do you see yourself, like, you kind of have to look at your life. What do you see yourself for your life? Like, is there anything missing? Is there anything else you want? Do you want freedom of time? Or do you already have that?
I do. I don't have as much freedom of time as I would like. And, as a nurse, there's definitely an income limit that I feel like I wouldn't have with Beachbody, but I do love being a nurse. So it's kind of, I feel like a little pulled both directions, I guess.
Well, I know there's actually a lot of successful coaches that were nurses,
Mm-hmm.
and they like all, you're obviously called into that position, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that you like to do. You don't just say, oh, I'm going to go into it for the money. Um,
Yeah. Exactly.
so what I would say is really look at like what you want your life to be like with you and your husband and your kids, because I know you have
Mm-hmm.
kids. Do you, you guys went on the cruise. Did you like the cruise?
Yes. And like that's by far my biggest um like personal why I would love to be able to travel in a way that I just can't on my income. And I would love to be able to show my kids the world outside of our little four walls in Vancouver. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more to life that they just can't see here in the States.
Then what I would do is I would plan a trip and I would make it your goal and I would put it on your board. Like
Mm-hmm.
what's your dream trip? Like put that up on a board and make it a family goal. I would look at, like Jesse is a perfect example. They weren't struggling for money. They lived a really good life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're really happy. But she was, running around all the time, but she didn't know any different and
Yeah.
working a lot as a personal trainer. And, her husband's in construction, but they weren't unhappy. They were happy. They paid their bills and they had savings. But what she wanted was that freedom of time and to travel. Like they never went anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're able to travel. And that's been something, that's their why. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say you just kind of have to look and find out you know, what's going to make you be consistent. And then also,
Yeah.
I think being consistent, like I could have slowed down, like I could literally not work my business and still collect a paycheck. But that's not me. So I decided, I need to be consistent to show my kids too. So that's another thing. But you just have to kind of talk to your family because your kids are old enough that you can talk to them and kind of figure out like
Yeah.
what they would want to do. Like, I remember the big trip that we did as a family was going on the cruise 3 years ago, or what was that, 2 years ago? That was the one we actually brought the kids on. And
Mm-hmm.
then taking a trip to Universal for a week after. And we made that kind of like our family goal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was really cool and it was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that, so you could talk to your family about that. But being consistent is just a choice, like having that and having, focus on the freedom of time, like really honestly having that freedom. You could be like, if you wanted to go to work in nursing, you could, or you could stay home,
Mm-hmm.
or you could take a month off and travel with your family.
Mm-hmm.
But don't, do it because you have a great business and you're like on the brink. I know you
Yeah.
are. You just need
That's
to go over that
exactly how
hump,
I feel.
Aubrey. Get over
Yes.
the hump because the other side is
Oh,
awesome. Get on that other
yes.
side, girl. I know you can do it. Um, let's see here. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Amanda said one big thing that motivated, because I think she's calling in from work. One big thing that motivated me was doing a dream board with Daryl. So she did a dream board with her husband and got to see what his goals were and what were important to him and wanting to help him have time to golf or go to the lake. And that's what motivates her. So that's kind of what I was talking about with Aubrey is bring your family, like your husband. Don't discount your family. If you have a family, bring them in on the goal. Because for me, my husband had to know, why am I working at night? Why am I staying up? Why am I not watching TV with him anymore? And by the way, don't stop all the fun things with your spouse because that will cause other issues. So make sure you're still having that time with your spouse or your significant other. But talk to your family, like talk to them about what you're doing. If you don't have a spouse, talk to your parents. Talk to your friends. Have them help you with that. The people that you spend your time with, talk to them. But if you are married or have children, bring them in on your goal and make it a family goal, because it's important to take them along on the journey and not leave them behind. Like, as far as, I take my husband on my Success Club trips because he earned them too. He hasn't worked the business, but he's made sacrifices. Like, right now, he's kind of watching the kids downstairs. I hear like chaos going on behind the door. But he really does. He's good at that. And, he's had to make sacrifices too. So definitely bring the family along. Does anybody else have any questions or anything they want to say? Rosanna, are you trying to ask a question? Let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
I was working on it, just, Hey, so I know this is crazy, but we cannot figure out how to find our pictures with Carl that they took last Saturday, the Sunday thing. Super Sunday, but it was Super Saturday, but it was on Sunday. Does that make sense?
I could barely hear you. I'm so sorry.
Last Super Sunday that we went to, there was pictures with Carl. We can't seem to find those. Did anybody else have trouble with that?
Oh, it's a link. I can get you the link.
Perfect, because we haven't even seen those yet, and we just keep forgetting.
And it's now going to be Super Saturday, like in a couple days.
Yeah. We're showing up, though. Woo-woo! We'll be there. My husband's going to France, by the way, for 2 weeks, and I'm still going. He won't leave until 10:30 in the morning, and I'm like, sorry, bought my tickets, love ya. I'll see you soon. So it's true. They are supportive.
Good for you. Yeah.
Did I say anything, Allison? Allison has a hurt tailbone.
I heard.
Yeah, I will be there and sitting on the side during the fitness portion.
Good job. Raise your hand if you're going to Super Saturday. That's
awesome.
So if you're going to Portland, we're having Joel, one of the trainers, is coming in. Sorry, ladies, he is taken. I've already had a request. But he's coming, and he and Jericho are launching a new training program that is coming out. I think they're going to launch it at Summit, but he's awesome, and he'll be also leading a live workout. But not only that, but we have a coach named Vito. He's a superstar coach, Millionaires Club, and I've sat by him in the elite line for the last 3 years because our last names are right next to each other. He's amazing. He spoke at leadership, and the guy is brilliant. He is an amazing coach. He's built an amazing business, and he's going to be talking for an hour at our Super Saturday. Bring a notebook with lots of paper and a couple pens, because you will want to write down everything this man says. He did a national wake-up call, I think, a few months ago. It was really good, but every time he speaks, it's just amazing. And like I said, I sat by him, and the guy knows what he's talking about. He's very strategic, and he's brilliant, and he's built great systems. So it's going to be an awesome Super Saturday if you're going to Portland. I know Amanda's hosting one up in Spokane that will be great too. She's already got her presentation done and got lots of fun things. And if you're not going to, I think all of you are local, except Kelly. Kelly, are you going to one in your area? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to do.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
You never hear me. It's 2 hours away, so there's not one here. I don't know why, because Virginia Beach is so big.
You should go to that one and then go. Well, you're moving maybe, but you said you're close around.
Yeah, we're moving. I don't know if we're moving. I think we're moving. Yeah, it's called Chester, Virginia. So 2 hours away, 1 to 4. So I'm excited.
Good girl. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I would say if you plan on, just plan on going. If you're not sure which one to go to, or you need help finding one, or you want me to reach out to the host for you, I'm happy to do that. Just message me and I'll do that, because I do know most of the hosts. But definitely make it a priority and go. So I do want to respect your time. Thank you. Yes.
Tawnya, can I say? So also, this is Jenny, sorry, in the dark. But it sounds like there's quite a few of us in Seattle now. So we're going to get together. And yeah, so anyway, if anyone wants to come to Seattle, we have a good lineup. Just message me so we can all meet up and sit together.
Yeah, huge. Seattle has grown. And you guys, Seattle just used to be Jenny. And now look at, and it's people from my team, it's people from her team, it's people from some of your teams. Seattle is booming. And that's what happens when I started as a coach, there was like just Jesse and I. And there wasn't a Super Saturday. We had to drive to one, and it was so we just hosted our own, and in her living room. And I know you've all heard the story, but it's grown immensely, and now we host it at the convention center. So, and that's, that didn't take very long. So definitely, if you don't have a good one, if you don't have one by you, then host one. Amanda she hosts her own. Jesse and I host our own and have grown it. And I know a lot of coaches started out that way. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is Team 360 sitting together at this Super Saturday at the Portland one?
Yes. If you, we're huge.
I know.
So it's hard to save all those seats, but there will be some seats saved. And
okay.
You can get there a little early.
Okay.
It's going to be kind of crazy with, it's always crazy when we bring trainers in, because people get, especially,
corporate.
Yeah. People get there really early. So get there and, definitely, just get there early. I'll have some seats saved, but I can only save so many because I do work the event. So always fun. Try it. I'm like, can I save like these 8-10 rows right here?
Hey, Tawnya, do you know what time it starts? Is it 10? I can't. The ticket didn't
10
show.
o'clock. And we have a great, like I said, a great agenda. We Vito and Joel, we took off a lot of other things, and we have the video, of course, but we took off some other stuff so that we could, have all of, have more time with them, because I think it'll be really good. So, let's see here. I just want to, for daycare planning, ours is going from, I will message you, Brandy, because I got to look, but it's at the convention center, and I believe it's 10 to 1, but I want to check and make sure, because for some reason I think maybe 10 to 2, but let me look. And we are doing live workout, so wear your workout clothes if you're going to Portland, because it'll be fun. So, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I hope you got some value from the call, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. And remember, if you haven't hit Success Club, there is still time. So make sure you push hard. Don't give up until 8:50. Well, don't ever give up. But seriously, you guys, you can do this. I was sitting at, like I said, I have not worked very much this month, and I was sitting at Success Club 3, which is not typical of me. And I just pulled out 9 today, and I'm going to go in obviously for more. But you guys can do that too. I don't have people lining up either. I know it can be tough, but just reach out, talk to people, follow up, invite people, work your power of 3, and just be consistent with the vital behaviors, which let me just tell you what they are, just in case we have new people on here. Personal development, got to do it. You got to be a product of the product, drink your shake, do your workout, and inviting and following up. Invite people and follow up with them. If you don't have the power of 3 document, let us know, and I'll make sure that you get it. But that document is really great. it'll help you stay consistent with your vitals. So everybody have a great night. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.